Yeah, you smell that? That's death.
What the hell is this place?
This is what's left of Kong's parents.
I've taken enough photos of mass graves to recognize one.
The crash site's just on the other side of this valley. We'll cross through and make it to the highest point west.
This place is a real no-no, sir.
We need to be going to the north side right now.
And you welcome to do that, my man. By yourself. I'm not leaving Jack out there. Now, who's with me?
We can make it.
You're mighty right we can make it. Now, stay sharp. Keep an eye out.
I've only been here 28 years. What do I know?
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the March 7th, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. This week's birthdays include Ava Mendes from The Place Beyond the Pines, Myra Kelly from The West Wing, Breaking Bad's Bryan Cranston, The Mummy's Rachel Weisz, Freddie Prinze Jr. from Star Wars Rebels, Oscar Isaac from Star Wars The Force Awakens, Jake Lloyd from Star Wars The Phantom Menace, Olivia Wilde from Tron Legacy, classic voice actor Rob Paulson, and a Doctor Who double threat in Captain Jack and River Song, the fantastic John Barrowman, and the superb Alex Kingston. Starting with the box office report, The Swan Song was a clear winner. At number 10 is La La Land, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is 50 Shades Darker, down 4 from 5th. At 8th is The Great Wall, down 4 from 4th. In 7th is Hidden Figures, holding steady from last week. And finishing out this week's bottom 5 is new release Before I Fall, premiering to $4.7 million. While disappointing, the upside is that the daily takes over the weekend steadily increased, so maybe some positive word of mouth can keep this title afloat. Opening weekend audiences gave it a B, and critics gave it a 68%, so who knows? The top 5 this week begin with John Wick Chapter 2, down 2 from 3rd with $4.8 million toward an $82.9 million total. In 4th place is the Lego Batman Movie, down 2 from 2nd with $11.7 million and a total of $148.7 million. In 3rd place is The Shack, debuting to $16.2 million. The faith-based film genre is taking this as a good sign, since this one opened at number 7 all-time, behind Heaven is for Real, Son of God, all 3 Narnia films, and The Passion of the Christ. Audiences adored it with an A, but critics savaged it with a 15%. In 2nd is last week's winner, Get Out, taking in $28.2 million for a new total of $78.1 million. And in 1st place, unsurprisingly, is Logan, winning audiences with $88.4 million. That's 4th on the list for R-rated opening weekends behind American Sniper, The Matrix Reloaded, and Deadpool. Holding the widest release of any R-rated film, a rating that should have sliced away significant shares of audiences, Logan opened at 4th among the X-Men movies behind Days of Future Past, The Last Stand, and once again, Deadpool. In fact, this film owes a lot to Deadpool and that title's stellar performance, which has opened the door for the X-Men series to go full throttle balls to the wall with subject matter and story. That brought Logan to the title of the biggest opening weekend of the year so far, ahead of the Lego Batman Movie. It was also the 2nd highest grossing R-rated IMAX opening domestically, after Deadpool, the best R-rated March IMAX opening, and the 2nd highest grossing IMAX global opening ever for an R-rated film. I'll give you one guess who holds that title. You're right, it's Deadpool. To wrap up the numbers, this was also Fox's 3rd biggest international opening of all time, only trailing X-Men Days of Future Past and Avatar. Yes, Logan even beat Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Audiences gave it an A-, and critics gave it a 92% reception, so Wolverine's Swan Song looks strong for the weeks to come. Let's close out the box office report with what was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, The Lorax took number 1 with $38.8 million. 10 years ago in 2007, 300 won the weekend with $70.9 million. 300 broke Ice Age The Meltdown's records for the highest weekend debut in March and for the highest weekend debut for a spring release. One of my biggest fandom secrets is how much I despise this movie and its Sin City counterparts. 20 years ago in 1997, Private Parts was the winner with $14.6 million. 30 years ago in 1987, Lethal Weapon took the title with $6.8 million. And 40 years ago in 1977, Rocky took the box office crown for the 8th and final time in 14 weeks with $2.5 million. The box office premieres for March 10th begin with A Forbidden Journey. This week's headliner is Kong, Skull Island, a fantasy action film starring Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, and Brie Larson.
You are going to tell me everything I don't know, or I'm going to blow your head off.
Monsters exist. Yesterday I was a crackpot. But today?
You dropped those charges to flush something out. Who are you?
Ancient species owned this earth long before mankind, and if we keep our heads buried in the sand, they will take it back. My agency is known as Monarch. We specialize in the hunt for massive unidentified terrestrial organisms.
You knew that thing was out here?
I'm sorry for your men, Colonel. I truly am. Get us home with proof so we can send the cavalry.
A team of explorers and soldiers travel to an uncharted island in the Pacific, unaware that they are crossing into the domain of monsters, including the mythic Kong. You know, the more I look at the cast list on this one, it looks like some sort of temporal flux of a Marvel film. Tom Hiddleston is Loki, Samuel L. Jackson is Nick Fury, John C. Reilly is Corman Day from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and Brie Larson is Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel from some of the upcoming films. Kong Skull Island is rated PG-13. There are also 10, I'll say that again, 10 titles on the limited slate, and you can find all those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of March 7th, and I'll begin with new releases on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list begins with Moana, an animated adventure movie starring Alui Carvalho, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Rachel House. In ancient Polynesia, when a terrible curse incurred by the demigod Maui reaches an impetuous chieftain's daughter's island, she answers the ocean's call to seek out the demigod to set things right. Check out our December 6th edition, where Denise positively glowed about this film. And you know what? She was right. Moana is rated PG. The second title is Jackie, a biographical drama starring Natalie Portman, Peter Sarsgaard, and Greta Gerwig. Following the assassination of her husband, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy fights through grief and trauma to regain her faith, console her children, and define her husband's historic legacy. Jackie is rated R. Number 3 is Incarnate, a horror thriller starring Aaron Eckhart, Carice Van Houten, and Mark Steger. A scientist with the ability to enter the subconscious minds of the possessed must save a young boy from the grips of a demon with powers never seen before, all while facing the horrors of his own past. Incarnate is rated PG-13. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have 2 titles there. The first is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, an adventure fantasy film starring Eddie Redmayne, Catherine Waterston, and Dan Fogler. These are the adventures of writer Newt Scamander in New York's secret community of witches and wizards, 70 years before Harry Potter reads those books in school. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is rated PG-13. The other title is Passengers, a sci-fi drama starring Jennifer Lawrence, Chris Pratt, and Michael Sheen. A spacecraft transporting thousands of people to a distant colony planet has a malfunction in one of its sleep chambers, and a single passenger is awakened 90 years early. Passengers is rated PG-13. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, we start things there with The Americans, Season 4 from 2016, starring Kerry Russell, Matthew Rhys, and Dylan Baker. The stakes have never been higher for KGB operatives Philip and Elizabeth Jennings than in the pulse-pounding 4th season of The Americans. Still grieving the death of her own mother, Elizabeth berates Paige for telling her pastor about her parents' covert profession. A deadly bioweapon threatens Gabriel's life, and the couple shatters the lives of loved ones when Martha is told about Clark's true identity, and Elizabeth betrays her friend Yong-hee. Meanwhile, Philip's involvement in a self-help cult and Paige's romance with Stan's son further challenge the Jennings mission. The other TV title this week is Saving Hope, Season 4 from 2016, starring Erica Durrance, Julia Taylor-Ross, and Michelle Nolden. Set 11 months after Season 3's explosive finale, Season 4 sets the stage for a journey into an ever-evolving Hope Zion that will shake the foundations of our characters right down to their core, and beg the question of who will be left to pick up the pieces. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you 2 titles. The first is Compulsion, a drama from 1959 starring Orson Welles, Diane Varsi, and Dean Stockwell. 2 wealthy law school students go on trial for murder in this version of the Leopold Loeb case. Compulsion is not rated. The other title is Fahrenheit 451, a sci-fi drama from 1966 starring Oscar Werner, Julie Christie, and Cyril Cusack. In an oppressive future, a fireman whose duty is to destroy all books begins to question that task. Fahrenheit 451 is not rated. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
What are you doing in the kitchen?
Writing a short story?
With a meat mallet?
Well, yeah, my characters are giving me trouble.
Well, then what about the cheese grater?
I have to make sure my plot points are evenly spread through the whole story, don't I? Oh, my action scene is done.
Wow, you got it perfectly browned.
350 degrees for 12 minutes. Ah, perfect.
The Melting Potcast, a writing variety show featuring a little of everything, from everyone, everywhere. Short and flash fiction, author interviews, book reviews, and more. Come visit the Disaster Kitchen and cook up a story. Something's burning.
My dialogue!
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. Welcome back, everybody! To start off, the Van Helsing reboot gets a rewrite from the Wrath of the Titans writer. No. I mean, okay, so Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing wasn't exactly the greatest of movies, but why would they punish us with the Wrath of the Titans writer? Wrath of the Titans was terrible. I mean, okay, so the modern Clash of the Titans wasn't bad. I still prefer the original, if only for the overacting and that one scene with the guy where he pulls down his fist and then does one of those showing motions. It's great. That's like my whole favorite scene, and never mind the stop motion. Anyway, Wrath of the Titans was terrible. It was not pretty good. With The Mummy closing in on its June release date, Universal has been slowly leaking details for the rest of its rebooted Monsterverse, which will see the likes of Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein cross paths in modern day. One movie in particular seems to be ramping up development. Van Helsing has yet to get a release date or even an official cast, but screenwriters John Spates and Eric Heiserer have been vocal about their direction in the press. It's been confirmed that the revamped movie will be set in the present and that it takes inspiration from Mad Max Fury Road, and other details have revealed that despite the presence of supernatural creatures, Van Helsing won't follow suit with the superhero movies currently dominating the screen. Instead, it's going for the terrifying approach. Yeah, I mean, of course, that might be null and void now that the tracking board has confirmed Wrath of the Titans scribe Dan Mazeau has boarded the project, but according to them, he's been involved with the movie as far back as September. It's just that no one has reported on his attachment. The news isn't clear on whether Mazeau has taken over the project or has simply joined the writer's room, but Heiserer gave an interview to Collider in February, so it's pretty safe to say he's still with the project unless there's been a tectonic shift behind the scenes that we don't know about. I'm not a Wrath of the Titans fan, but Doctor Strange was great, and I've heard Arrival is pretty much phenomenal, so maybe the movie won't suck as bad as I think it will? The Mummy movie, on the other hand, I have strong feelings over that one. In soul-crushing news, Guillermo del Toro has spoken. Hellboy 3 will 100% not happen. Ever. Not in our wildest hopes, or petitions, or backyard sit-ins. We will never, ever, ever get our third Hellboy movie. Because the universe hates us and movie studios are jerks. Also, I'm pretty sure Guillermo del Toro hates us too. I mean, it could be because he's busy with his Cold War-era fantasy The Shape of Water, and producing Pacific Rim Uprising, yay, as well as overseeing the next Netflix original series, Troll Hunters, and I mean, he does have a long list of projects he's shelved, but still. He did post a poll on his Twitter page and said if he got 100,000 votes, he'd talk to the key creatives, star Ron Perlman and comic creator Mike Mignola, about getting the threequel off the ground. It did not lead anywhere. Del Toro reported on his Twitter that while the talks did take place, the sequel is 100% not happening, devastating fans everywhere, including me. No word on what the holdup in production was, however, but the lamentations are real. In more book-to-movie news, Stephen King and J.J. Abrams' Castle Rock series has been ordered by Hulu. Deadline reports that Hulu has granted Castle Rock a 10-episode series order with production set to begin later this year. As for what the show is actually about, well... A psychological horror series set in the Stephen King multiverse, Castle Rock combines the mythological scale and intimate character storytelling of King's best-loved works, weaving an epic saga of darkness and light played out on a few square miles of Maine woodland. Castle Rock is an original suspense thriller, a reimagining that explores the themes and worlds uniting the entire King canon while brushing up against some of his most iconic and beloved stories. Because sleep is overrated, am I right? In big screen news you didn't know you wanted but you're getting anyway, Jurassic World 2's plot details have potentially been revealed. Yay? Jurassic Park was the best movie, ever. No question. Jurassic Park 2 was not. No question. Jurassic Park 3 was okay, and Jurassic World was when Steven Spielberg forgot how to tell a story and just decided to squish new characters into old roles and hope that the magic was still there. Spoiler alert, it was not. Even though it has garnered a 71% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from both critics and audiences, it was not the best foot the rebooted series could have put forward, but I digress. That final battle, though, that was the best. My Entertainment World offers up what looks like a partial plot detail for Jurassic World 2. The adventures at Jurassic World Resort and Theme Park continue as the government has trained dinosaurs to carry weapons and use them for battle purposes. Okay. The details have in no way been confirmed by Universal, but really, who didn't see that coming? I know is anybody reminded of that shark show? It was animated back in, I mean, it was when I was a kid, but I would think it was an 80s cartoon where the sharks were alive and they were robotic, or at least half. Anyway, yeah, that's what that plot reminds me of. Right. Okay. Sorry. In more movie news, the Lego Batman movie's Chris McKay is going to be directing the Nightwing movie. Wait, we're getting a Nightwing movie? Apparently we're getting a Nightwing movie. The judge and accountant screenwriter Bill Dubuque is set to pen the script. Other details have not yet been released, but the Podioplex will keep you updated. And finally, in Robin Hood Origins news, Taron Egerton is back from the Crusades, y'all. Not to be confused with the futuristic dystopian Robin Hood project that's currently in the works, Robin Hood Origins is taking a cue from the upcoming King Arthur Legend of the Sword and providing audiences with a dark and grounded reboot of the character. But, I mean, isn't that what the Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie did? Anyway, the film has already been established with a stellar cast with Taron Egerton in the title role, Jamie Foxx as Little John, Tim Minchin as Friar Tuck, and Ben Mendelsohn as the nefarious Sheriff of Nottingham. The film has no release date yet, but we will keep you posted. And that's it for this week. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are at the end of the first edition of the Weekly Podioplex for March. Holy crap, where did the first 2 months go? If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to our homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using a microphone, or you can write to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. Of course, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith. And I am Womprat99, like the creature Luke with Bullseye in his T-16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have Cyborgs, a Bionic podcast, the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, treat it like a time machine. You can also find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s, when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out, and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning of the franchise, and reviewing those stories in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is right in the middle of the 17th season with the adventures of the 4th Doctor and the Time Lady Romana, and those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets in the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at the theater.